Good morning. Today's video log thoughts are about how web and native they compete, but they also share, and they each want to be each other. And there's just a couple of fun observations I've noticed as web versus native has just been this topic over and over, and things that I think are kind of silly. Things that to me indicate that we're definitely not done churning and exploring possibilities and how to build software. So anyway, let me have a sip of my coffee. Look at my COVID haircut. I just pretty much buzzed the sides. Anyway, whatever. I have to cut my hair. Things get weird when it gets long. Anyway, let me take my sip of coffee. Compile my thoughts. Okay, so one of the first things that I think is kind of funny about web versus native is how the web is just recently getting into types. So like in ActionScript 2 was not typed, it was a loose language, and then ActionScript 3 came out and it was strictly typed, and it was more like Java. And that was supposed to make applications easier, better, stronger, faster, whatever. Anyway, what's interesting is the web is just now adopting types, or it's been doing it for a couple of years, but everyone's really type excited, when really the reality is, like, back in the day, .NET was typed. You could be typing your web applications for a long time right now. Anyway, it's becoming really popular on the web, and folks on the web feel like they're reaching this new potential, this new possibility. They're leveling up even, or they're upgrading their systems and stuff. And they're not wrong. It's just that they're not necessarily right either. So let's look at native, where you only can do, well, up until recently, this is part of the thing that's funny to me, is up until like a few years ago, before Kotlin and Swift, you could only do typed inside of a native application. And they were looking at the web, and people coming from the web going to native had issues, right? Where they're in this loose language coming to the typed one, and then people are in the typed one going to the loose language. So what's funny is I saw this swap happen. It was like native wanted to beat web and web wanted to beat native. So they each took a thing that they thought the other was doing right. And web took types and native dropped their types. Right, so in native we have Kotlin and Swift, and Kotlin is inferred types and Swift is inferred types. Basically, they let you write in this higher level, looser looking language that's sort of a hybrid. And so this is the only reason that, like, natives is a little different, is theirs is more of a hybrid. It's almost like if the web switched to CoffeeScript, which was backed by TypeScript or something like that, we'd have a little bit of a hybrid scenario, kind of like native has. I just think it's funny that the web wanted to be so much like native that it's bringing in types, and we see this trend in types. And then the native development ecosystem noticed that it was too hard to use types, and types were a barrier to entry for different people, so they switched and made it easier and switched to a more looser type language. I'm amused by that. It just means to me that I don't think loose or typed give you some sort of upper hand. Application development is still hard no matter what. So anyway, I think it's funny. Web and native kind of swapped as they each wanted to be each other right there. And the last thing that I think is kind of interesting about web versus native, where there's been this swap, is about packaging. So in native, you obviously go to an app store where it's your application has been signed and delivered and is a package just sitting there, really nice on a shelf. And you just go, I want that one. And it gives you the package. And that package comes with the entire app and everything it needs to render for you. Versus the web, where the web, you visit a web page and it gives you just the little bit that you needed in the moment that you needed it. Maybe you might be loading a website that when you load it, it's actually loading the rest of the application. But anyway, the point here is that the web now has web packaging as a offering, as a standard that's trying to get implemented, to where you could go visit a site or visit a URL and get a bundle down, a signed bundle that has everything that you need inside of it, just like native. Whereas native in the past couple of years has come out with various concepts of fragments, which are the ability for you to download just a piece of the native application, and in hopes of either accruing the rest as you continue to navigate, or going to the app store and just finishing the download. So it's just kind of funny, right? So I don't know if packages or just-in-time content delivery is the right mechanism. I just don't think this world is binary enough for one of these two to win, whether it's loose or strict type languages, or it's packages or just-in-time fragments of your application. I think it's funny that these two systems, these two ecosystems, have sort of like brushed past each other as they're growing. One grew and grew out of something that the other one grew into. And I think that is absolutely fascinating. So I hope you found this COVID video log interesting, and thanks for watching. And I'll come back with some more. Take it easy, guys. Bye.